Hi everybody, welcome to your first anatomy lecture. All right, I know this seems a little bit weird, but I do this way so that you can actually watch it and as many times as you want to over and over again and take as much time as you need to copy the notes down. Okay, so what we're talking about is the human body and orientation. This is chapter 1. This should go directly with the chapter 1 notes that you've already taken. So first we have anatomy, which is the study of the structures and shapes of the body and its parts. So this is looking at actually what our body looks like. And it can cover different levels of what our body looks like, but it's going to be about what our body looks like, not necessarily what our body does. All right, so we're going to use observations to see the size and the relationships of the different parts of our body. There are different levels of study that you can study when you're looking at anatomy. All right, gross anatomy, and think of like, ew, that's gross, a gross mess, because a gross mess is usually a big mess, right? Gross anatomy is going to be large structures. So this would be like studying the bones of the body. That's gross anatomy. Studying the muscles of the body is gross anatomy. Most of what we do this year is going to be gross anatomy, other than our first lecture, our first unit. Our first unit is microscopic anatomy. Microscopic anatomy is looking at things that you need to use a microscope, and we've got a beautiful picture of a microscope. Let me get my pen to work. A beautiful picture of a microscope, this guy, which is similar to the microscopes that we use. Okay, that's a picture of a microscope, and we're going to use those so that we can study microscopic anatomy. When we study histology, we're actually studying microscopic anatomy. Okay, so these are structures that can only be viewed with a microscope. So next, after anatomy, we're going to look at physiology. Oh, look at my kitty. That's Kit. She's in a lot of lectures. Physiology is studying how the body works and how the parts are going to work, right? We study them together because lots of times the structure of something is going to determine what it does. All right, so there's a relationship between them. So structure determines function. So like the shape of your teeth is going to determine what they can do. If you have canines, you can rip food. If you have molars, you can grind food, right? Because molars are flat and canines are pointy. Makes sense? So if your structure changes, like if your canines then become flat, well, you might not be able to tear food as much. So think of a lion with all flat canine teeth, right? He's going to have to find some other way to do something or he'll die. Evolution. We're not talking about that now, though. But our structure is going to determine our function. So if the structure changes, your function is going to have to change. There is going to be levels of structural organization within our body. You should have learned about these last year in bio. But I don't know for sure with the new frameworks how it worked. So when we talk about different levels due to structure, all right, there's going to be 6 levels, and they'll go from smallest to biggest on how our body's organized. So the first level is going to be atoms. This would be the smallest, and I know it's not in our picture, it'll be in our next picture, and it's in the picture in your book. All right, this is the smallest level. This would be like an atom of carbon. Right, most of our body is organic, it's made of carbon, so an atom of carbon, a single atom. All right, the atoms combine together to form molecules, molecules combine together to form cells. The cell is the basic unit of structure and function in our body. That's how we say it. That means that everything that we talk about, we can bring back to the cellular level to see what's happening in the body, and that's why the bigger thing happens. Like when you breathe, it's because you need oxygen to collect the last electron in cellular respiration. So you can make energy, you can make ATP. If you don't breathe, you suffocate because that electron has nowhere to go. So you can't make energy, therefore your heart can't beat, right? It's weird when you think about it. So atoms combine to make cells. Cells combine to make tissues, right? Tissues are going to be a large amount of cells that perform a similar structure and function. Tissues combine to make organs. So organs are going to be multiple types of tissue that combine together to perform the same function. Organs will combine to make an organ system. So all of the different organs will work together for one cause, one reason, and that's an organ system. And then all of our organ systems working together make an organism. I have a couple slides next that go in order that show us how this happens. So atoms. They call it the chemical level, right? Atoms combine to form molecules. Then we have the cellular level. Cells are made up of molecules. molecules. Then we have the tissue level. Tissues consist of types of cells, right? So similar types of cells are going to make up a tissue. And then our organs are made up of different types of tissues that are going to combine together for the same function. Then we have our organ system. Organ system is going to be our different organs that are all working together to perform a task, like the cardiovascular system or the digestive system. And then our organ systems work together to make the organismal level, which is you, your puppy, my cat who just walked away. Make sense? Next would be our organ systems overview. So we're going to quickly run through all of the organ systems that are in the body. It's not in that much detail. All right. So first, integumentary. This forms your skin, right? This is going to help protect your body from damage. It's going to help regulate your body temperature. It's going to keep out bacteria. So really, skin's biggest like job is going to be protection. And it has lots of nerves in it. That's why you could feel when someone touches you. After skin, skeletal system. This consists of bones, cartilage, ligaments, joints. All right. This supports and protects our body. It provides the site for muscle attachment, so it allows us to move. If our muscles had nothing to pull on, then we couldn't move. It's going to allow for blood cell formation, hematopoiesis, and it stores minerals. Think of things like calcium. Women get osteoporosis because we deplete our calcium, right, when we're pregnant lots of times. When we're breastfeeding. When we deplete our calcium, it comes from our bones, from our skeletal system. That's where calcium is stored. Okay, so support, muscle attachment, hematopoiesis, storage of minerals, protection. Those are going to be our skeletal system. Muscular system next. It's going to, its function is to contract or shorten. It produces movements. It also produces heat or helps maintain heat. It helps maintain our like posture, so it helps with support too. And sometimes it does protection, like your abdomen, where you don't have any bones. Your muscles are going to protect your organs there. Frozen. Next, I have nervous system. The nervous system is going to be your fast-acting control system, whereas endocrine system, which is the next one on this slide, is going to be your slower-acting control system. So these are our control systems here. Nervous system is brain, spinal cord, nerves, and sensory receptors. This is going to respond to any changes either externally, like what you sense from sensory receptors in your hands, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, okay, all your senses, or internally at the organ level when different organs sense changes and then produce hormones. Okay, this is going to respond to your internal and external change. It's going to send messages using nerves. You have your sensory neurons, which go to your interneurons, which then go to your motor neurons, and those make you move. That loop right there we'll talk about in our next lecture, okay, but that's going to help control you. And then your central nervous system activates your muscles and your glands, all right. Endocrine system, which is another control system that I feel like we don't talk about as much. Your endocrine glands are going to be pituitary, adrenal, pancreas, ovaries, and testes. There's some more. I just didn't want to make the list too big. They're all in your book. And these are going to regulate growth, reproduction, and metabolism. All right. So this two systems together, nervous and endocrine, regulate how your body works. Okay. That's what really controls us. Next three, we have cardiovascular, lymphatic, and respiratory. Cardiovascular system is going to include heart and blood vessels, right? Your heart's main job is to pump blood. The vessels are going to transport the blood, right? We have arteries, veins, capillaries. Let's remember arteries start with an A, they move blood away. Veins come back. They're later in the alphabet, so they come back. They're later in the circulatory system, all right? The job of a circulatory system is really to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide, so your respiratory gases. So we're going to transport respiratory gases, we're going to transport nutrients, and we're going to remove waste. So we're getting rid of waste. If you didn't have a circulatory system, you couldn't get rid of the byproducts of cellular respiration or of your body working in general. So waste would build up. This is how you get rid of all your waste. This brings it around. All right. Lymphatic system is next. Lymphatic system is a little weird. I don't know, maybe not. I just think it is. It's going to be your lymphatic vessel, lymph nodes, and lymphoid organs. So lymph is kind of like a circulatory system that no one talks about. It's like meshed in with a circulatory system, kind of, but it has vessels, same kind of thing, and it makes like a giant kind of mesh within your body, right? And what it actually does is it cleans the blood and it regulates water balance lots of times. It's also involved in immunity, right? So it has to do with your immune system. And when I say regulate water balance, it says it returns leaked fluids back to blood vessels. So any fluid that leaked out of your organs or that your organs gave off, right? It kind of sucks it back up and brings it back to your blood so then your body can use it again. Next, respiratory system. Respiratory system is nasal passage, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, lungs. I'm going to add alveoli. A-L-V-E-O-L-I. Let's add alveoli in there. Okay, those are your grape-like clusters at the bottom of your lungs. I'd like you to know those too, please. Okay, so your respiratory system, nasal passage, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, alveoli, which your alveoli make up your lungs, but the word alveoli is good to know. Your respiratory system is going to provide your oxygen to your blood, and it removes your carbon dioxide. So it's going to work hand in hand with your cardiovascular system to get your respiratory gases or get the necessary gases into your body. Next, digestive, urinary, reproductive. Digestive system, which includes oral cavity, so mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, and other accessory organs, right? It breaks down food. It allows for nutrients to be absorbed. So it's going to break down food. It absorbs nutrients into the blood, and it eliminates undigestible food as feces, so it gets rid of waste. So we break down our nutrients, we remove our waste. Urinary system, which now keep in mind, digestive system poop. Urinary system, pee. Two different systems. Don't put them together. They're actually completely different in your body. Urinary system includes kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. Okay, so we'll see all these when we do the fetal pig, but these are all connected, and this is urinary system. So your kidneys are going to filter your blood, right? They remove nitrogenous waste. So this is waste from breaking down proteins. Okay. It helps maintain your acid-base balance in your blood, and it's going to regulate how much water and electrolytes you have in your blood. So your kidneys are going to regulate your body. They help filter things. They help pull water out, right? They control how much pee you make, how much urine you make, okay? But two totally different systems: food, digestive; water, urinary. Don't mix them, okay? Reproductive system next. In males, it's going to include testes, scrotum, penis, accessory glands, and the duct system. So vas deferens and stuff like that. Testes produce sperm. The duct systems carry the sperm through the penis and out of the body. Okay. For females, we have ovaries, uterine tubes, which is going to be your fallopian tubes, or your oviducts is what we call them when we do the pig. Your uterus and vagina. Ovaries produce the eggs. Uterine tubes or fallopian tubes are going to carry the eggs from the ovaries down to the uterus. The uterus is where the baby develops, or the fetus. Right? And then vagina would be external. Okay?